We are here. Okay, y'all, we are live.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hi there.
People are filtering in.
All right.
Welcome, welcome.
We'll give everyone, Ashley, let's give everyone another couple of minutes to join. So we're going to fill the time, this 2 minutes, because it may feel like forever. So did everyone watch the Oscars?
Oh, yeah.
We did. That was a fun time.
Yeah.
It was. I did really like Ariana Grande's dress. Like, it was really pretty, I thought.
Yeah, their song was beautiful. I think I've had it on repeat a couple of times. Just so soft and pretty.
Oh, it was so good. I loved that movie anyway. So,
Oh, it was fantastic. I love how our fashion is almost giving an Audrey Hepburn nod these days, which like there's a rumor she could be in a film like that, which I would just love.
Oh, I love that.
Adam,
She's so talented.
Adam Sandler's dress was pretty good too, right?
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, let's be real. That's all of us on our off-camera work from home days.
That's yeah, we may have our basketball shorts on right now, right? So
We might, you never know.
Who's to tell?
I may or may not have shoes on right now.
I love that.
Conan did a really good job though.
Yeah, I thought he did a really good job too.
Yeah.
I thought so too. So I thought it was good. All right, Ashley, where are we? Is it about time?
I think it's about time. We're seeing where everybody's tuning in from. So if everybody can let us know, because we have a lot of people from Texas, and then we'll get it going. I think we're ready.
Look at Texas.
All right. Okay, let's get started. Welcome everyone to our Great Debate live event. Today, our panelists will be discussing the pros and cons of SEO versus geotargeting, and you'll hear thoughts on leveraging each of these in your own marketing strategies. My name is Tracy Johnson, and I'm the CMO for Grace Hill, and I'll be your moderator today. My goal, all right, guys, panelists, remember this. My goal is to keep everyone playing nice in the sandbox as you guys debate it out. I'm just kidding. This is going to be fun. So let's dive in. Next slide. Today, we will cover a series of important questions relating to SEO versus geotargeting. And our hope is that you'll come away with some great information that will drive better ROI results for your efforts. We'll also have a few poll questions along the way, and we'll wrap up with a live Q&A. We will be monitoring the chat. So if you have questions, please feel free to enter those, and then we will be sure to answer them as time allows. We should have some time at the end to answer some questions. So definitely put those in the chat. All right, let's now introduce you to our esteemed speaker panel today. First, we have James O'Loughlin with Pixaura Digital, a digital marketing agency based in Cincinnati, Ohio. James is the CEO and founder and has over 20 years of experience with digital marketing and SEO specifically. That might be a hint as to which side he's on. James is focused on the cutting edge of what's next, and he brings that enthusiasm and knowledge to every client. And I can attest to that. Grace Hill is a client. Fun fact about James, I thought this was really cool. He bought his current house with funds earned from cryptocurrency back before it was cool. Next, we have two multifamily veterans. Katie Mancuso Rice is an accomplished multifamily marketing executive with over a decade of experience leveraging data-driven marketing strategies to drive growth and optimize financial performance. Formerly the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at JVM, she led initiatives that bridged corporate leadership with community teams, enhancing occupancy and customer experiences through strategic digital marketing. Katie also has a passion for running, and she is chasing the 7 World Marathon Majors and will be lacing up for her 6th marathon this fall. And each year she runs for a cause. I thought this was super cool. This year, she will be running for the Chicago-based nonprofit, the Danny Did Foundation. And last but not least, we have Tracy Cherry. Tracy is a multifamily marketing leader with over 20 years of experience in leasing, training, and community engagement. As the marketing director at NE Property Management, she develops strategic campaigns, maximizes lead generation, and strengthens resident retention through innovative outreach. A skilled trainer and public speaker, Tracy equips teams with the tools to succeed while ensuring alignment with their organizational goals. Tracy's favorite job in the world is being a mom to her 3 teens. And in her spare time with 3 teenagers, I'm not sure there's much spare time, but with in her spare time, she operates a children's volunteer program working with kiddos ages 5 to 17, teaching them the importance of giving back to others, which is really good with where we are today. So go to the next slide, please, Ashley. As we get started, all right, is everybody ready? Let's take a quick poll. How do you learn about marketing trends in multifamily? How are you staying educated? All right, answering.
The right answer is webinars.
Yeah, right.
You're
That's
doing
what
it
I was
right
about to
now.
vote, but the panelists can't vote. So.
Yeah.
Right. Do you have some results here, Ash?
Yep. All right, I'm gonna end the poll in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see. Okay, let me share the results. Can everyone see them? Can you guys see them?
All right.
Hi, for LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, Multifamily Insiders, that's a good one. Love Brent and the things that they're doing there. Webinars, good answer, everybody. Good answer. All right, thank you, everybody, for your feedback. All right, so let's get started. Are we ready? Are you guys ready to rumble?
Let's
Let's
So
do
go.
it.
ready.
All right. Okay, so before you answer this first question, I want you guys all to know, I didn't tell you this until just now, but I have this little trusty buzzer, and this is going to keep us on track in case it gets too rowdy. So, all right, this first question is for all of you. Can you each define how you see SEO and geotargeting playing a role in multifamily marketing today? Why should marketers care about one or both of these strategies? Katie, do you want to start?
I would love to. All right. So I will preface as a slight spoiler. We should be caring about both of these. We should be knowledgeable about both of these, but with my background, SEO is the foundation of long-term, cost-effective marketing strategies. You want to ensure your properties are visible for your renters, and we're talking about both new renters and renewals alike. So that way, when they're searching for apartments, their amenities, what neighborhood they're moving to, if they're staying in a neighborhood, that you're always readily visible to that customer. Geo-targeting is absolutely important. So you need to make sure that you're keeping a pulse on this strategy because it's going to also help kind of that momentum. But SEO is really going to be building that credibility, the trust, and that sustained organic traffic. And there are going to be a few different ways we talk about this later throughout the day on like how you do that because it's so much more than keywords. You got to think about video content. You got to think about reviews. There's a lot of different components. So know that when we're talking about SEO, it's not just those keywords that you're looking at.
That's right. Great, great answer. Great insight. James?
Well, that's a hard act to follow because I do believe in, SEO sort of at the spear, but GEO can give you immediate results when you need results and you can't wait around. So I think that, if you have properties, that are just sitting vacant or you need to make people aware of an immediacy, that's not something that local SEO will handle for you. And you can get real-time results. You can do hyper-targeted ads to, in campaigns. And then you can see these results in near real time. What are people clicking on? Where are they going? What are they interested in? And I think it's, offers a flexibility, and it's really perfect for mobile because a lot of people are going to be searching on their mobile device. Not that SEO isn't, but I just think that, yeah, when there is an immediacy, you're not going to get that with SEO.
Okay, great. All right, Tracy.
Yeah, I
you-
totally agree with both.
for us?
Yeah, both of you guys, I agree. I think that SEO and GEO are like the dynamic duo of multifamily marketing, right? You really have to have a strategy in both, because SEO means you're in front of them before they even know what community they want to live in. You're talking about reviews and credibility, and geo-targeting. It's kind of the secret sauce in getting in front of someone immediately and who's actively looking in your area. So it just together, they make sure that you're not seen. They make sure that you're top of mind and you're first.
Awesome. All right, great information. All right, that was really, really good. All right, so let's go to question 2. Okay, this one's for Katie and James. All right, are you guys ready? Now be nice.
Ready.
SEO is often seen as a long-term investment, while geotargeting delivers faster results. How should marketers decide when to prioritize one over the other? James.
I think it goes down to, it comes down to immediacy. I agree that SEO, I like to say it's like investing in bonds. You're going to get long-term dividends, but you don't know when you're going to cash out on them. With the investment in geo-targeting, you know that you need something right now. There's an immediacy to the problem, and you can invest in that, and you can see with the tools that are available to you, you can see a return on ad spend. Is somebody, filling out a form? Are they making a call? Are they doing all those sort of things? You can see every sort of ad platform is going to allow that, to see where where these things are working efficiently. It also comes down to really having a good campaign or campaigns that you're delivering to your audience. You're trying to make them convinced that you have the property that they want, and you really, to do that effectively, you really need to be multimedia in that. You really need to have tours and all video tours, and just all the information right at somebody's fingertips to make that decision. And again, I'll go back to the data. The data is going to help you determine, oh, I spent X amount, I got this many clicks, I got this many leads, which you're really not going to see in SEO. You will see it over long term, but if you need to do something immediately, geo-targeting is going to be your channel.
Okay. All right, Katie, thought?
Well, I completely respect and agree. I really want to think through the lens of like, do you want a quick fix? Or are you trying to build something that's delivering consistent results and proactive results, and stop having those conversations of like, oh my goodness, we're not leasing. What is happening? How do we fix it right now? So I'm going to use an analogy Tracy shared earlier. I'm a runner, so I use running analogies all the time. I'm training for a marathon, right, in the fall. I'm starting to train now, so that way that race day is going to be sustainable, enjoyable, effective, and I'm able to walk the next day. So think of it a little bit that way about SEO. Geo-targeting, like James shared, it's going to generate those immediate leads, but once those stop, or once certain campaign stops, the results can as well. So SEO, on that other hand, that's a consistent foundation. It's compounding over time. It's relevancy. It's continuing to show your rank. That's why it's really important. Do not set it and forget it. Then it's not going to maintain that relevancy for those consistent results. So keep at it. I always think long-term investment, SEO is going to be that game changer for you, but you do need to include that geo-targeting strategy in order to be successful. So all to say it depends, but I'm always going to be the long game and the long-term sustainable fix on my end.
Okay, awesome. That's great. Great information, guys. All right, so now let's go to question 3. All right, this one is something that's near and dear to my heart. This one's about limited marketing budgets, something we can all relate to. So with limited marketing budgets, which we probably all have at some point, how can properties evaluate the ROI of SEO versus geotargeting campaigns? And we've talked a little bit about this already, but I think it'll be good for you guys to elaborate. Is one strategy more cost-effective over time? And I think, how about Tracy and Katie for this one? Tracy, do you want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. Katie and I can talk marketing budgets all the time and ROI, right? We had a conversation this morning of like, hey, if this is our conversion ratio, we need triple the leads. What is that going to take? And I'm like, triple the dollars, right? So I think that's important. But SEO is like planting a garden. So I'm like really big on that. But it does take time to grow. But once it does, it's like, Katie, you can't set it and forget about it. You have to nurture it. But it consistently brings in that organic traffic without the extra cost per lead. But on the other hand, geotargeting is like flipping that switch on and you're ready to go. You really get immediate results from that targeting in real time, but it comes with a price. It's a little bit pricey. And then is it the best strategy for your teams? And sometimes it's really a mix of both. But using geo-targeting for quick wins and SEO for long-term, that's the way to go. And then tracking your leads and measure your conversions like James was talking about earlier. You really have to watch those and adjust as needed to get the most out of your budget.
That I couldn't agree more. That we talk about that all the time on the Grace Hill side as well. Katie?
I would say I'm going to completely agree with Tracy on this one. There's not much debating here, but what I want to encourage any of the marketers in the room, whether you're a decision maker, whether you're on site evaluating leasing and marketing, or whether you're in the corporate office, the biggest thing I want to encourage everybody, think of marketing, and in this case, SEO or geo spending. Think of it as an investment and not an expense. And in order to educate those around you on that, you got to empower them with that data. What do those KPIs look like to the right audience? I'm going to use another analogy, so stay with me. We've got strawberries and we've got jam. I don't know if you can fully see these. Mine's chocolate covered because I love chocolate. Who doesn't? So your marketers, we're going to look at the really nitty gritty KPIs. We're going to look at impressions, click-through rates, queries, but your asset managers, your executives in the C-suite, they care more about the jam. What is the rent growth? What is the retention? What is applications, leads? I also want to think about more leads doesn't always mean more leases. So what is the quality of those leads? Have you had a strong SEO and geo-targeting strategy? It's actually really good for those leads to go down. It's less work for your teams because you're getting the right people in the door for leasing. So we definitely are rubbing our pennies together. Tracy and I probably could pull our hair out talking about that. But once you flip that script into that investment, you're really going to have much easier conversations to get more dollars in the end to do the array of campaign strategies that you want.
Awesome. Yeah. And I couldn't agree more. We talk about that all the time at Grace Hill on my marketing team. We're always trying to get more. We were just talking about targets yesterday. So, all right. So great information. I think I'm starting to see a trend here, but maybe not. We'll see. How's the chat coming, Ashley? Are folks providing
the
any?
chat's Yeah, I think, Katie, you were just talking about this because Mike asked a question about which is better for driving qualified traffic that will convert to leases, because I think that there is this constant push-pull of quality leads versus quantity. So what are your thoughts on that?
So what I like to always think when you're having quality lead conversations, think of it as, when is your campaign trying to convert? Just because someone isn't ready to lease today doesn't mean they're not going to be leasing later out. So I think as long as you are investing in a well-optimized website, hyper local content, so that's both SEO and geo-targeting, and then strong reputation management, it's really more of a not set it and forget it that's going to help you drive those consistent quality leads. If you are only investing in spot fixes with geo-targeting, or spot fixes and changing your SEO strategy way too often, that quick fix is actually going to cost you more and get you those unqualified leads. So really the name of the game is like staying on top of it, investing when you need to invest, testing. I like testing. A/B testing is fantastic. Always seeing what's going to work and really analyzing those results, sharing those results, and not being afraid to fail, which is really, really scary in leasing season. So if you're always proactive and testing these different SEO and geo-targeting strategies, you'll know what works and doesn't work for your audience.
I think to play off of that, the one thing is when somebody is in market, or they're ready to lease, they're ready to be engaged, the SEO requires somebody to be actively searching and looking,
Mm.
where the geo-targeting, you can give subtle reminders like, hey, we exist. This is the place for you. We're great. Look at our pool, look at our hot tub, look at all this, So you're reminding, look how close we are to these places. So unless somebody is actively going to Google and searching, or we could talk about chatbots too, but that's a whole separate subject.
Next
But
webinar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
big
next
webinar.
webinar. But that is where push marketing is, going to help you when somebody is in market. And if they visit your site, you can begin to retarget them and make sure that they are reminded that you exist. You can retarget them, and then picking the channels that you retarget. Maybe it's Meta, maybe it's LinkedIn, maybe it's TikTok, maybe it's programmatic, maybe it's in podcasts. But you can continually to remind people, and it takes at least 7 touches for them to know that you exist.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. That was really good. All right, so now let's go to question 4. And this one is going to be for Tracy and James. All right, so you guys ready? What are the biggest challenges marketers face when implementing SEO or geotargeting strategies, and leasing teams understanding the ROI? How can these hurdles be overcome?
I think it's simple. I'll take that. I'll go first. Sorry, James, to interrupt,
Go
but
for it.
feel strongly about it. But I think it's really important to educate our teams. I sat at a meeting this morning to try to talk about why adding money into Google is not an immediate turn for getting 50 pieces of traffic this week, right? So I think the biggest challenge is making sure that everyone knows about your spend. So SEO can feel like a long-term game, and geotargeting requires a strategy to avoid wasting your money. So the leasing teams don't see the immediate impact of SEO, which can make it hard to get buy-in, right? So the key, again, talking to them, showing them what their marketing spend is, and then real life examples about how SEO drives business and organic traffic to their property. And some of the things that we use here are our Google Analytics, any ILS dashboards. We use Knox, so it's a CRM reports that we use, or any call tracking software. That's really important to show them what's coming in, where did it come from, and how we close that. So I think when we help our teams understand the why behind the strategies, they become our biggest advocates, and they start understanding ROI. And that's when the magic happens.
I 100% agree with that. James?
Yeah, I think I'm going to use another analogy. I like running. I'm going to go into cycling. I do a lot of what's called endurance cycling. In fact, I'm signed up to do a 400-mile bike race in Arkansas in April. And this is called, it's an off-road race. So one of the things that I need to do is pick the right technology. I'm not going to show up to that race on a road bike or or a tricycle or something like that. I need specific technologies to help me, get up these mountains. It has 45,000 feet of climbing, so I need the right gearing. It's off-road, so I need the right tires. The analogy I'm trying to make there is you need to determine what channels work best for you. So you need to pick the technologies that are going to work best and, that are affordable. Part of my decision-making process is, what can I afford? I can't afford, the best of the best of the best stuff, but what technologies can I afford that match my budget? Pinching these pennies together, and then what are going to deliver the best results? A lot of times I recommend, that people start in multi-channels. Is it going to be Meta? Is it going to be LinkedIn? Is it going to be TikTok? Is it going to be X? Is it going to be any of these, retargeting? Is it going to be programmatic? And start with your limited budget, similar campaigns, so you have similar messages within all of them, and see which one is getting people to your front step, and then the next leap is, are they in the top of your funnel? Because that's ultimately what you want to do within that. And within those, you're going to also want to do some A/B tests for, similar image, different words, similar words, different image. All of this is about optimization of the channels that you're using. And I think somebody asked a question about like a high bounce rate in chat. And I think this really goes in line. You need congruency. You need congruency with what you're offering somebody to the landing page that they're looking at. So just, a simple example would be, I want to get my dog trimmed, and I Googled that, or I saw an ad for that, and I end up on just a general sort of pet grooming page. That's not as specific as the benefits of, getting your dog trimmed at Acme Dog Trimmers, right? So you really want to have campaigns that have corresponding landing pages that are congruent to the messaging. So you get that little nibble with somebody, they're like, oh, I'm interested. Now, when I go to the landing page, you really want to embrace them with, all of your brand and your messaging that is related to that campaign.
Okay, thank you. That was great insight. All right, next question.
Hey, Tracy, before we move on, I'm going to ask you a question, James, because we got a question specific to the panelists here. And since we were just talking about tools, I think that this is applicable to what we're talking about now versus holding it towards the end. So I'm going to throw a curveball if you guys want to start brainstorming. The question was asked by Claire. Can you address specific examples of GEO efforts and what vendors you use for that service? James, I remember you talking about direct mail campaigns and then also like TV streaming ads. If you want to maybe touch on that really quickly, or if there are any other examples.
Yeah, there's a super cool company that I'm starting to use. It's called Navistone, where any visitor to your site, they do on-demand printing, where they will send a postcard to the visitor with 75 to 80% accuracy. Sometimes they say 90%. So that's a cool service. Also, there's a lot of different programmatic display companies out there that you essentially can do geo-targeting or foot traffic attribution, where within 5 meters you can target somebody that's actually walked on your property. You could use an exclusion list that you remove all the emails of people that have been there. So you could really target people with that foot traffic attribution. You could yeah, so those would be two of the things. And I think retargeting is huge, where you just want to retarget visitors to your site that because that they're interested. And I would change the messaging just a little bit, because it's not a first touch, it's sort of a second touch to sort of reinforce what they might be interested in.
And I'd love to add, I actually wrote down, Tracy, I loved the quote that you said. So I jotted down, like, have your teams know the why to understand the ROI. And thinking through that lens, like James, in your analogy, you shared it too, we're rubbing pennies together sometimes. Or if we're evaluating investing in something, we're determining, okay, what's the offset cost then? What am I getting rid of to afford this? So to kind of answer some of those product tools, I'll say, I'll put my geo-targeting and geo hat on for a second. So some of the tools that I've used within our industry that also create some team bonding, hyper-local video content. So I'm a huge advocate of RealLink. It's no surprise. Whether often you'll see like building tours of your apartment, building tours of amenities, building tours of team building, but like, let's take it one step further. Where are your residents going to grab coffee every day? Where are they catching the bus, or where are they finding parking? What is that hyper local content that you can capture and involve your teams? Because at the end of the day, or let's say budget season, sometimes our leasing teams are against our marketing teams. And it's like, why is marketing spending so much money? This is ridiculous. So to go back to that analogy Tracy provided, if they don't know that why, they're just going to want to cut those dollars, or there's going to be a divide and a silo between those teams. So if you empower them with tools like video content, if you empower them by analyzing reputation management, knowing what your customers are saying, knowing what they like near and around you. Those are some tools that I like to use to involve the team, so then you're not against each other in budget season. Budget season is stressful enough. Let's get everybody on the same page and invest in tools, invest in technology, so that way we're implementing things, and the dollars we are spending are truly going to drive those lasting results.
Awesome. Tracy, do you have anything additional to add there?
No, I agree with both of them. And this is a topic that we can touch on so much, but I just agree with Katie and James. It's just all about knowledge and what that looks like and what's the best for you, as James used in his bike analogy, which I will tell you, I ran 20 minutes on the treadmill this week, and I'm like high-fiving myself. And you guys are marathons and bike races. So hats off to you. But I do feel that you just have to find what works best for you and make sure you're knowledgeable to share with your teams.
Yeah. And I especially like what you said earlier, Katie, where I mean, you just can't be afraid to fail, because you might skin your knees, but you probably need to fail fast, right? And move on. So, all right, great information, guys. All right, let's get into the next question. Question 5.
Real quick, somebody asked about high bounce rates and just another technology. I recommend putting Microsoft's Clarity on your site. It'll do real-time tracking of how people are interacting with your site. It'll do recordings. You can add funnels and events there to see if they're clicking on stuff. And the best thing is it's free. So it's called Microsoft Clarity, and it's really going to give you some insights as to why people are leaving a page. Sorry, I saw somebody ask that.
That's okay. Thank you, Jane. Thanks for that input. All right, question 5. In highly competitive rental markets where properties are often similar, how does SEO or geotargeting help properties stand out? And we're going to give this to Tracy and Katie. Tracy, you want to start?
Yeah, I think this one was going to go to James, but we'll definitely start on that. So in the market, no, that's okay.
It was James and Katie. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Don't worry, because I have a spin for it. And it's really hard because we're both, like, I'm very pro geotargeting, but I think we can both go back and forth on SEO and geotargeting. So as marketers, we can talk for days about this.
All right, Katie.
Sure. So I think, I'll give a good example. We're all saying luxury, right? That's one of those words that we're all like, oh my gosh, please don't use it anymore, because everybody's luxury. And then what is luxury if we're all luxury? So you want to make sure that you're really standing out. I'll answer this through the SEO lens. How are you answering questions online, on your website, on your social channels, before your renters are even asking them, before your prospects are even asking them? There are so few people that are actually stepping foot on site to tour your property. If at all. We know there's a number of renters out there who are leasing sight unseen. So how are we giving them the most accurate, the most in-depth answers to the questions that they have? There's a number of different SEO ways to do this, even beyond just an FAQ page on your website or through the copy that you have. So making sure that you're really in-depth answering those questions. That's going to help them also understand what the lifestyle is like at their property. That's a great way to show customer service, is that you're going to anticipate the needs before they even have them. So I think that's one way to stand out, showing your people. I love to show the leasing teams. I love to actually show the maintenance teams even more, because let's be real, they're the heartbeat of our properties. They're the ones that actually interact with our renters the most once they're actually in the building. So let's show our team. Let's humanize this experience. Our prospects are making a decision where to live. That is such an in-depth, deep decision for them to make. So when you got to think of the people when you think of both SEO and geotargeting strategies, really at the core, to make sure that you can stand out and be the edge, because service is what you can set apart, regardless of the newest and latest and greatest amenities.
I think so. I'll just jump in because I was part of this question too. I think that in a really hyper competitive market, and this is going to be a shout out to RealLink here for video. I know that one of the panelists here, or part of this team, they are looking to move to Chicago, and specifically searched for
Not a secret.
for virtual tours, and virtual tour Chicago. So And I think that the data that you can share, Ashley, and I'm sort of reading it, is like, they're 3 times more likely to lease, and a lot of people are getting a lot less traffic on location because they're just viewing your property online. So, Ashley, what do you have to say about RealLink in a highly competitive market?
Yes. So I've told this story a few times, but when I moved from Indianapolis to Chicago, I obviously didn't want to tour in person. I didn't want to make 3.5 hour track over there. So and this wasn't just because I work for RealLink, but this was actually like a true, authentic experience where I was aware of virtual tours. So I knew that if a property, when I was typing luxury Chicago apartments into the search engine, if I went to that property and they didn't have a virtual tour, they want to have a live virtual tour, I instantly crossed them off my list of potential communities to live at. And so that was my own experience in that. And my sense, I think, would be more SEO focused because I was coming from Indiana, typing that in on Google to identify which community to go to. But yeah.
Cool.
Great insight, great story. All right, guys, let's keep moving here. We've got just another few minutes. I see the chats are continuing to come in. All right, so this question, James, we're going to ask you to answer this question again. Are you ready?
Sure.
SEO builds visibility for those actively searching online, while geotargeting hones in on renters nearby. How do these approaches appeal to different types of prospects? We've talked a little bit about that. And when should marketers use each?
Well, I mean, to be clear, I'm also a big proponent of SEO, but I'm just here to battle it out for geotargeting. And I think that, I've sort of reiterating, what we've been talking about previously is just to determine the right channels, you should really try them with the message. But before that, I think you need to establish your strategy and the personas of like the people that you're targeting, to know who they are, to know their sort of incomes, to know their interests, to really hone in on who feels that your property is desirable. And to understand that, then you can craft these compelling, messages to try in the different channels. I am not going to say that one channel is going to work better than the other. It's ultimately going to be the persona that you're targeting and where they are most likely to, to live. The reason, because we're essentially, what we're doing is push marketing. It's like old school TV radio where they would just market to everybody. Well, now you have all of these tools in your toolkit where you can say, okay, within 5 mile radius of our location or within 20 mile radius. And this is somebody that likes things that are nearby, or they like to go to the restaurants or nearby, or those interests that they might have, or they're into, into gyms and you have a gym, or whatever it is, they're sort of this persona that you're building. Then you want to try and figure out which channel it's going to work best in to pick that technology. And then you want to write compelling campaigns that will appeal to them, will show off your property. Then you want, going back to conversion rate optimization or CRO, you want to build landing pages that will really speak to them. So opposed to just showing the property, try to tell the story that they can relate to, that will really, when you're approaching, you're making these personas, imagine like shaking their hand and saying, this is what I think you would like here, as opposed to just showing a property, right? Try to paint a picture, try to tell a story, because people are going to make decisions with their heart versus just facts and data.
I love that, James. That's really good. Katie or Tracy, do you guys have anything to add to that?
I would just say, like, James, I couldn't agree with you more. I think, when we're talking about how people feel, they're making that decision with heart, like you're saying. That's why it's also so important to understand the brand, that whether it's the brand of your entire management company or the brand of your individual property, because that's going to be a way that you curate that feeling before folks are on site. So I think branding is, I think, just as important to be integrated in either of these campaigns. Like, know exactly who you are, and almost even more so know who you're not. So that way you can really hone into that customer and give that feeling that you're trying to articulate or help them experience.
Mhm.
Love it. I totally agree. I mean, we talk about pulling at the heartstrings. That's really how it works, right? James sees a new bike. Katie might see new running shoes. I may see a new bag, right? So what you look at it and you're like, this is great. But think about how much happens at home. Like people have babies, they get married, they meet new friends, they get divorced. There's so many things that happen. Pulling at those heartstrings, telling those stories, presenting your property how you want to, that fits in their lifestyle is exactly how you have to do it.
And I
Yeah.
think that, to build off of that, like reviews are really important for your, for your business to try and establish those reviews and get those reviews. And we actually see utilizing reviews in campaigns, where we might pick a stock photo of somebody, but, I absolutely love living here and da da da. People trust a third-party review as much as a friend. So I think that what you should think about in your marketing is like painting a story or picture of, what the property embodies, as opposed to just like 12.99, 6 months, but just like the numbers. That's very important to people, but they're going to make that decision from their heart.
I love that you brought up reviews, James, because if you think about it, our reputation is what people are saying about us when we're not in the room. This is what our prospects, our renters, everybody is saying about us. So you can really kind of give that story through those reviews. But then I will encourage, be open to feedback, be open to change, listen and embrace those reviews, because there is oftentimes, when people leave good reviews, it's not because you only gave good service. It's also how you handled a bad situation, because we're all human. We need to lean in with our hearts too. So making sure that you're not only getting those reviews, but you're also listening to the positive and the negative feedback and acting on that, because that'll show authenticity, which then will show up in your SEO and geotargeting campaigns. Are you authentic? Are you accurate? Is the story you're painting really what is experienced? Your reviews is what's going to paint that picture.
Yeah, and I think actually two things. I know Grace Hill has a reputation management suite that's very helpful for this. But secondly, unless you're requesting reviews, the people that only want to leave a review is somebody who's like frustrated or mad. So you really need to try and generate those reviews. The other piece to this is how you react to the bad review is the picture that you paint for people that are reading this, because a bad review is an opportunity for you to, reflect on your property or your organization or, what you're offering. But the response to that is invaluable from the perspective that potential leasers reading that will be like, oh yeah, they handled that. They're like, they're on top of things. They recognize the problem, they've addressed it. Maybe it could be a legitimate problem and you've just shown how, that you're the adult in the room, and they're like, oh, I want to, I feel comfortable being here because they're going to listen to me.
Right. Right. Great information. All right. We got to move on to the next question. I was about to get my buzzer out.
I'm going to move on to the next question right after this question.
Okay.
I think it's to what we were discussing. Katie, you were talking a little bit about PMC versus property level, and a good private question came in about that. So that's why I want to touch on it real quick. So Craig said, if a property of apartments are all located in close proximity to one another, and we have a limited digital marketing ad budget, is it best to market each property's specifics website or direct all traffic to a single corporate website that allows all properties and portfolio level availability? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, one, I will say you have an advantage if you're a corporate website or if you have a hub of websites that'll feed out. A lot of property management companies don't do that yet, or don't do that in-depthly quite yet. I think it's also going to depend on what your individual asset goals are. If it's third party managed or if it's collective managed, at the end of the day, you really do need the success of every property. So I think I'd probably answer your question with a question, which my husband hates when I do, but it usually is what I do, is what are your occupancy needs and goals of each of those, not only today, but the 60 and 90 days ahead? Because really in digital advertising, we're looking at the 60+ day window, and you want to understand, okay, is this a problem just right now? Or is it going to fix itself in 60 days? Is it just an immediate fix that you need, or is it a long-term fix? Because that's going to determine if you need to do some boots on the ground marketing. Digital advertising for only a right now problem isn't always going to be the solution. That's where geotargeting can help you, but you really need to look at both the zoomed in and zoomed out lens. I do think, again, it's fantastic if you have both as an opportunity to push to both direct website and property management company website. So you're already ahead of the game there, but get really into the data and knowing operationally what is working, what isn't working in your occupancy goals as your North Star of your marketing goals, and it's going to set you apart. I can't necessarily tell you to do one or the other without really understanding that. But if you are empowered with all of that data and know what that looks like, you're going to be able to make a much more educated decision, and one that those around you are going to feel empowered by.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Ashley. All right, let's go to question 7. Do you think an effective, this is for all of you, by the way, do you think an effective multifamily marketing strategy can be successful with only SEO or geotargeting, or is a hybrid approach the way to go? I think I know the answer, but go ahead, Katie.
I think it's fair to kind of see hybrid is where we probably align, but I would really say SEO is really the backbone of every marketing strategy. Branding rooted in that SEO, constantly optimizing it to ensure at the right times, you're going to see success. It's going to provide long-term sustainable visibility, and it's going to build that trust. It's going to attract high-quality leads, and geo-targeting, they're absolutely, that hybrid is where my answer is, because it's going to give that short-term hyper-local awareness campaigns. So there really is a place for both, and I encourage you, again, go back to understanding what are the goals of your asset as well. Is this a long-term hold? Is this a short-term hold? Are you in lease up? There are so many other factors, but know that branded rooted in SEO is going to be really your long-term backbone.
Awesome. Tracy?
Totally agree with that. I feel like it's a really good mix about blending the two. You really put your community in front of the right prospects at the right time with geotargeting, but creating the full funnel approach with SEO and really setting your credibility is super important. So yeah, I really came into this as geotargeting focused. We have a ton of lease up, so I'm like, geotargeting is the way to go. But when you really look at SEO, you really have to blend them together.
Yeah, you really have to consider both. James, you got about 30 seconds.
I started doing SEO 25 years ago, so which is 2000. And I think that the important thing to think about with SEO is you need the right partner or team, because you can't just say, oh, give me some SEO, right? You really think about strategy and implementation and monitoring that. And yeah, you need a team to understands sort of SEO to do it. So I believe SEO is completely integral if you have the right message, you have the right things you want to focus on, and then you're ever present. I will add, we all use Google every day. Nobody knows how it works. That's why you need a team to help you figure that out. Geo-targeting is, I think, if you're making a soup or a dish, it's very important that you have that piece in there. How much you want to add, how much garlic you want to add, let's call that geo-targeting, is sort of up to the taste of the dish that you're trying to prepare. I think you definitely need a hybrid approach in this, and it comes down to, the strategy and your brand and, where you're going to get the best bang for the buck. And that ultimately comes down to, being able to measure those results long term. So don't do any of these things unless you can measure the results. And I think that's critical. You can't just put SEO out into the universe and say, oh, we're doing SEO, or we can't just do an ad and be like, oh, we're doing an ad. You need to make sure that you identify your KPIs, then that you have the data to look at, and then you have to say, this isn't working, or this is working, and then continue on the path of what is working.
Yeah, it's definitely not a fix it and forget it sort of approach.
Yeah.
It's definitely not. All right, great information, guys. All right, so here we go. Pros and cons of local SEO. It'll be interesting to see where everyone chimes in. So we've talked a lot about this. The pros are long-term ROI, increased visibility, builds trust, it's cost-effective over time. It's the long game. That's what Katie was talking about earlier. Cons, it takes time. That's part of what James was just referencing. It's complex. Nobody knows how Google works. It's ever-changing. There's a competitive landscape to it. So, and then with GEO, you know, the pros are you get real-time, fast results. It's right there. It's highly targeted, depending on your goals. Katie talked about that earlier. Flexible. It offers flexibility in your strategy. You can adapt quicker. It's perfect for mobile. James mentioned that earlier. Cons, it's a short term. It's a game. It can be really expensive, and there's a limited audience reach. It's not everyone. It is very specific. So this is really great information. Let's see who the winner is. I bet I know. Oh, yes. I knew it. It was likely a combination of both, tailored to your property's goals and timelines. You've heard the panel talk about that over and over. So thank you guys so much for the panel. First of all, thank you for sharing your insight and information. We're going to go to some questions now. So are you monitoring the chat there, Ashley? While you're getting the questions together, we'll take some more. There's a couple of quick things that I want to talk about. Number one, we have another webinar specifically for marketers, just like you, coming up in a couple of weeks on March the 20th, maximizing your ROI for marketers with AI-powered reputation management. James talked about that earlier and about Grace Hill's reputation management solutions. And also, if anyone is interested in learning more about any of the Grace Hill solutions for marketers, including RealLink, we've talked a little bit about that, virtual leasing and video tools, our reputation management solutions, or resident survey solutions, we've got several things that are specific for marketers. Put in the chat, great debate, and then we'll make sure someone reaches out to you. So if you have any questions about any of our solutions, please put that in the chat and we will make sure someone reaches out to you. Okay, so now we have the next poll question. Are we ready?
Yep. Okay, so I'm launching. So we want to make content for you all. This is the multifamily industry. It's who we serve. So we want to know what topics are interesting to you so we can find experts to answer your question. So if you could answer this question as we plan our next webinar, we'd love your input. Which topic would be most valuable to you? And if there's something else, you can also put it in the chat as well.
And we may or may not have voted off camera as to what you guys were going to put in there. So we'll see.
Okay. I'm going to give it about 10 more seconds here. And in the meantime, while that's going, we did have a question. It was a really good question. Let me find it here. About, oh, here it is, from Josh. Is it worth it if over 70% of your prospects are not within a 50-mile radius and are from out of state? Would you then suggest SEO over geotargeting?
Yes.
Yeah, James.
I
James,
think I would break it 70-30, right? I would definitely, focus on the SEO there, because you're not going to reach people if only 30% of your people are, within that market. You're only going to reach them, with that ad spend there. So definitely SEO.
Love it. All right. Anything else, Katie or Tracy, on that?
Yeah, I would just echo, like, I agree with the SEO play there. However, like we were talking with Ashley's search earlier, you never know who's moving from out of state or who's remote and maybe hybrid in another location. So I think in today's environment, you don't know necessarily if they are relocating, if they're moving. You don't know all that now more than ever. So I wouldn't say write them off as an instant renter just yet. So you don't know what their life decisions are looking like with those timelines. But I would agree with the SEO
And
investment.
I'd add retargeting there for anything
Yeah.
just across the board.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay,
All
one
right.
last question here from Tess. What advice do you have for a one-person marketing team with a large property portfolio?
I can give some great advice on that. I'm a one-person team right now. We're missing 2 employees on our team. We're in 7 lease ups and have 30 other properties. So it's been a little bit busy, but in my life, I think just truly organizing is the way to go, and making sure that you set everything in your calendar. You're able to look at the campaigns to see what's working and make quick actions to if you need to make changes on that.
When you're talking about ROI too, and I've been a one-woman band many times in my career. That is when, obviously, we're talking about competing budgets here, but that is when it is so critical to find partners that are truly extensions of your team. That is the difference between a vendor and a partner. That relationship nurturing is so important, because that's what's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. It's going to have, you're going to get margin that way. So I would say, map out what vendor partners you want to work with. Take as many meetings as you can on who is going to help you achieve those goals, and be extra hands on your team, even if they don't exactly work on your team.
Yep.
Yeah, I would echo that too. You need either you go to management and they hire more people, or you hire out, which is finding those partners. And I think, yeah, what I've tried to illustrate is I wouldn't recommend that you personally learn SEO. You find that partner to help you with. Now, I think that the GEO could be a little easier, and you could run some campaigns, and you could personally, manage these things with, out in a partner, but you could find a partner that could do both of these for you. But as far as like the skill set, you could spin up some GEO campaigns a lot easier than trying to figure out local SEO. Still, go to find that partner, and they'll be an extension of you and in your brand.
Yep. I love that. All right. So we are just at time. We only have 3 minutes left. We thank you guys so much for coming today. Thank you. Thank you to our panel. You guys did great. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you to Ashley and Stephanie, who were the wind beneath our wings on this with the questions. So we appreciate you guys. Grace Hill does have our performance summit coming up in the fall. It is our user conference. We're bringing it back to Texas. So look for more information on that. And you guys, thank you so much. If you want to connect with any of our speakers today, and I would love to connect with all of you on LinkedIn. So hook us up, scan the QR codes, and connect with all of the speakers. Thank you guys so much for coming. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.